The Gulfport Democratic Club presents Meet the Candidates. State Senate and Representative, County Judge, Pinellas County Commission, Pinellas County School Board. This was recorded live at the Gulfport Neighborhood Center on July 14th, 2026.
Like some more, so if you see any more, bring them in. This event is hosted by the Gulfport Democratic Club, whose mission is to inform voters and elect Democrats. And we're delighted if you'd like to join our club. April's over there, she'll happily take your money. $50, it's a bargain. Introduce the board members who are here. Karen is up here doing the timing. Lenny is over here videotaping us. Michael is back there. I don't know what he's doing. He's standing there. And then we have Kathy and Bonnie who are not able to be here tonight. And the purpose of this event is to introduce the voters of Pinellas County to the candidates who are going to be on the August ballot and on the November, some of them just on the November ballot, both Democratic and nonpartisan candidates. To allow the candidates to tell the voters why they should vote for them, volunteer for them, and donate to their campaigns. And we're going to videotape it, and all things being equal, we will distribute that later so that you can share it with your friends and family. And to start the meeting, I'm going to deal with the two judicial candidates, Nick Florence.
My name is Nick Fiorentino, Pinellas County Judge, Group 10. I've been an attorney in this community for 23 years. Been married to my wife Mary, who's here tonight. Thank you, Mary, for 21 years. And we share 4 children together. I want to tell you why I wanted to run for judge. So I had a case, a trial, in 2015 over in Tampa. It was a custody case where my client had 50% of the time with his daughter, and they had a good relationship, sharing the child. Father was a great dad, he was my client, and he was having the child in extracurricular activities, going to school, things like that. The mother was not allowing the child to do those things. She filed a petition to modify custody, and we had an all-day trial scheduled in Tampa. Halfway through that trial, where the judge never opened the exhibit book, wasn't paying attention to the evidence, called us up and said, I have lunch plans, I'm not coming back after lunch to wrap up your case. So we lost 4 hours of our time. We presented the best case we could, and ultimately when that judgment was entered, she removed the majority of the time that my client had. The judgment was full of errors, had them living in the wrong counties, and other things. I told my client he needed to appeal this case. Well, he had just got out of the military, he was attending school, he couldn't afford to appeal it. So I told him, look, I will appeal this case for you for free. I've never done an appeal, but I will learn how to do it, and we will get you through this. So we did the appeal, and ultimately the appellate court agreed with me, and agreed with us, and overturned that, and he got all this time back. But it took a year. It was a year of the child not being with her dad, not being with her siblings, not being in extracurricular activities, the same amount of time she should have been. So it had a real impact on this family. And I knew at that point how important it was for attorneys to walk away from their successful practices and serve. We can't just continue to have this progression of prosecutor to judge, prosecutor to judge. So I found that was very important that we have attorneys with broad experience who've done family law, criminal, civil, probate, to step away from those practices and serve. So I didn't just file my paperwork the next day to run. I wanted to prepare for the role. So I became a mediator, a parent coordinator which deals with high conflict families, and a mediator, and an arbitrator. All things to prepare me for the role. Because as attorneys, we advocate for one side. And I thought it was important to learn how to advocate for neither side and be neutral. So that's why I took that specific training. I'm running to be a county court judge. County court judges hear misdemeanor criminal cases, traffic cases, civil cases under $50,000, small claims cases, but they're also appointed acting circuit judges. So they can be assigned to the Unified Family Court or the Community Violence Court to hear domestic violence injunctions. So it's very important that you have this broad experience. Because when you run for judge, you don't run to be a criminal judge or a civil judge. You just run to be a judge, and the chief judge assigns you to a certain division. You have no say in that. They just put you where they need you, and they can move you at any time. So it's extremely important to have that broad experience. Something else that is important for judicial candidates and judges is community service. I've been extremely involved in this community over the last 20 years. I served almost 12 years on the Intervention and Appeals Committee at a local fundamental school, where helping guide children who violated the code of conduct and get them on the right path. I started doing that when my kids attended the school, and then continued to do that for several years after when my children left. Also volunteered with the Seminole High football program. They had $40,000 embezzled from their program by a parent, and the kids had nothing left for equipment, food, meals, anything. So my wife and I stepped in to rebuild that program. We raised money, we got meal donations, and things of that nature. I'm also a member of the Seminole Lake Rotary Club. Through that organization, volunteer my time with the Florida Dream Center, packing food, with Horses for Handicap, and raising money for children in foster care. I also serve on the board of Hero to a Child as vice president, and that's an organization that supports foster children in Pinellas County. We fill the gap where the government fails. When children are removed from foster care or from a parent's home, they usually have nothing. And it takes a while for those benefits to kick in. And so we step in and fill that gap. We provide beds, clothing, diapers, whatever's needed, therapy. And so I think it's very important to have that broad experience. It's also important when you're voting for judges, do your research, pay attention to who you're voting for. Because when a judge gets in, it's very rare that they're challenged in the future. So usually once they're in, they're in. So pay attention. I'm very proud to have very broad political support in my race. I have support from both sides of the political spectrum. When people today don't agree on anything, they all agree that I'll be a fair and impartial judge. I have the support of 7 former judges, over 50 elected officials in Pinellas County, including Dr. Commissioner Flowers, Ken Burke, the clerk of the court, Sarah Malo, our public defender. So please go to my website, review my credentials, and review who's supporting me. I ask for your vote on August 18th, Nick Fiorentino. Thank you.
And now we have Zach Wayne. Zachariah. You like that?
Z.
I don't use my full name.
Well, as you all know now, my name is Zachariah. And before I say anything else about me, I just want to thank you all not only for being here, but specifically to the organization for giving us this opportunity to speak to you directly. Judicial races are the ones that most people typically skip on the ballot because they don't know who they're voting for. And so instead of placating people and just putting up signs and saying, vote on August 18th by, I really believe in the opportunity to engage people and show you who I am. So in terms of why I want to be a judge, there is no short answer to that question. So instead, I'm going to compartmentalize my answer and tell you why I believe I'm the best candidate in this race. I started my legal career as a prosecutor here in Pinellas County, but don't worry, I'm not a prosecutor that's jumping straight to the bench. I have a broad range of experience. I handled every level of crime, from disorderly conduct all the way up to murder. And I'm proud of that. There are people right now still in prison behind cases that I handled. And I don't say that because I think it's so awesome to put people in prison. I say that with pride and humility because I know I did my job the right way as I represented the people of the state of Florida in and for Pinellas County. I'm also a father. I have a beautiful 4-year-old son whose name is Kadel Sabali. If he were here right now, he'd be somewhere playing with Legos and reading his books. He is my pride and joy. And because I didn't grow up with my father, as soon as I became one, I knew that I had to buy it 100%. That meant making a little more money because kids cost, as many of us know. And it also, leaving the public sector and going private allowed me more flexibility with my schedule, spending more time with my son. When I left the state attorney's office, I started practicing criminal defense at a very reputable firm here in Pinellas County. I did that for a number of years, and then I stepped out on my own. I run my own law firm now, which is based here in St. Petersburg, just a few blocks away, a few miles away to be fair. But I handle criminal and civil cases. My experience has gone through family law matters, civil litigation in terms of representing business owners and making sure that that any wrongs they experienced were righted, or individuals in their individual capacity who needed injunctions and different things that they come through in their life, they come to me, and that has been a high honor. But in terms of my professional career, I would say that my crown jewel is the fact that I've already spent years teaching as a law school professor over at the Stetson University College of Law. That started as a coach on the trial team, which is the #1 trial team in the nation, and I led law students across the country competing in different competitions and winning. I like to think that the success we had on the road is why the Stetson University College of Law then hired me as an adjunct professor and gave me the trust to teach young lawyers how to do this and really how to overcome what is most people's biggest fear, public speaking. So professionally, I do believe I have all of the experience and qualifications necessary to run a courtroom, but there's one additional ingredient. I've spent my career in the courtroom. And that matters tremendously for a sitting judge, because being an attorney is almost like being a surgeon. And for anyone who goes into a surgery, the #1 question you're going to ask that surgeon before you let them cut you open is, how much experience do you have, not just being a doctor, but doing this specifically? How many hours have you spent in the operating room before you trust them with your body? And that's why I say going to court is a lot like being in surgery, because there is a very intricate process that you know very little about. And you're leaning and depending on someone else to get you to that result the right way. And so that's why experience matters in the courtroom as a sitting judge almost more than anything else. Another reason why I'm running for office is my personal life. I have life experience. People look at me and they don't see it because I don't look like what I've been through. I'm very humble about that, but I can tell you that as a 10-year-old child, I was removed from my mother's care. I experienced things that most children and adults don't even have to think about, but I'll share them with you. As a child, I experienced homelessness, domestic violence, where it was me who was being victimized, but also my mother. I can tell you about the day that I tried to, at 14, bust in the room and tell that man, stop hitting my mom. And my mom said, go back in your room and shut the door. That's why I became a prosecutor, because I wanted to impact people who needed help, the type of help that I needed when I was a child. And I can proudly say that I have made myself into that man. I look now at our community, and my involvement has been far and wide, but I can't tell you how many hours I've spent volunteering. I can't list the organizations, or I could, but that's not really where my community service comes from. I've mentored. Since I came to Pinellas County, I started mentoring at Academy Prep, which is just down the street, and I was partnering with young men who look like me and grew up like me, but they needed something that I didn't have, a role model. And I say that with humility because I don't think I'm perfect, but I know that I overcame the obstacles that I had to get where I am today. And it is incumbent upon me to reach back and pull someone else forward. I've been involved with two organizations specifically that are near and dear to my heart. The first one is called Empowerment, and I say it that way because the is spelled H-E-R, Empowerment. It's an organization based up in Clearwater, and it focuses on women. What I do on the side for a hobby is I'm a pit master. I love to barbecue. Karen knows what I'm talking about. I have a 300-gallon offset smoker that I can cook about 48 chickens at one time. Everybody already had dinner. Sorry. But what I do is I cook in bulk, and I reach out to the president of this organization. I say, I've got food, line them up, and we will basically create a drive-thru where single moms come through and we just give away the food, because I know firsthand how much that one meal can make a huge difference. That is the level and depth of my community service. But there's one more organization. It's called Boys Corps. It's an acronym, BOYS. It stands for Building Optimal Youth Success. And the idea behind this program is actually it was created by the judge that I'm seeking to replace. His name is James Pierce. He created this program, and the way it functions is he pulls young men who have been arrested, and they're in the juvenile system. They are in custody. They are brought into the courtroom at the courthouse in their jumpsuits, escorted by bailiffs, and they are not free. Judge Pierce brings speakers in to illustrate to these young men the difference that choices can make in terms of your life and where it can lead you. One of the things that I want to do with this program is develop it and grow it to where we're no longer impacting them after they've been arrested, but before they've been arrested. I have the support of over 50 attorneys. And when you look at my Facebook campaign page, I want you to pay attention to my endorsements, because each one is not just a photo of an elected official or someone reputable in the community. It's someone who has actually offered a true testimonial to my courtroom experience, to my character, and what I have to offer the people of Pinellas County. So with that, I thank you, and I ask for your vote on August 15th. Thank you.